Hey everyone, it's Moonkin FTW, and today we're going to make another roller coaster, and we're going to focus today on an inverted roller coaster, which is actually going to be very time consuming and very challenging for me because I pretty much never make inverted roller coasters, which also means that I'm not very used to it, and also a lot of the supports that I normally use for regular roller coasters, like an Intamin Mega Coaster or a B&M Hyper or just other things like that, those supports that I have ready, they don't work. So there's a lot of new supports and custom fabrication I had to do. So yeah, I'm going to start off with a chain lift into the first drop. And with the first drop, I had the idea that it would go under the path. That's why the terrain right there is lowered. And we're going to go into a looping and then into a cobra roll, then a large overbank turn or an overbank turn into a helix and then into a brake run. I've decided not to use any sort of like major or big inversions because I knew this would be a time-consuming project because I don't have any inverted supports, so I figured I'm just gonna keep it not too big, and yeah, that's why. So I made a corkscrew here, and the reason is because I want this corkscrew to go over the path where the guests walk. So kind of like an old school aero corkscrew roller coaster where the corkscrew goes over the path. And here I'm going to end with a brake section, but I'll change this later on because I thought this was just a bit too short. So from here on out, I'm just going to go ahead and speed up the footage. By the way, this footage is sped up 8 times, and the video is still about 16 minutes long, and that's because this coaster actually owes me a lot of time. I looked up all the recordings that I made in OBS, and in total it's almost 5 hours long, which is a bit ridiculous and a lot more than I normally would spend on a roller coaster. But one reason is just because I never make inverted roller coasters, so I had to make all the supports from scratch. I'm not experienced with making an inverted coaster, and also I put a lot of effort into the surroundings. So normally I would make a path and maybe some trees, but here I kind of went all out because I had this really cool kind of tropical theme as an idea, and you'll see that the more we go on. And also I did a few underground sections, which again I never do, so when I do, it just it takes me some time to get it right. So yeah, this first drop I think looks really cool, where it just goes under, it goes underground and then under the path where the guests walk. So let's say you're walking there and then the train drops down. It's really cool to see. So like the way it looks, and I'm using Beastie's path covers to make it a bit more realistic. So here I'm going to check out how the train goes. And I'm using the low friction mode to make sure that it travels a bit faster into the helix, corkscrew, and then back into the brake run. And here I realize, yeah, it's a bit short after the brake run. I'm going to try and change it a little bit. So here I have a corkscrew in mind, and then a few quick turns, if you will, and then it goes into the brake section. But actually later on I'll change it again. And I know this, I barely ever make this many changes, but I really had some cool ideas on my mind that I wanted to implement into this roller coaster. So from here on out, we're going to work on the custom support. So first we're going to kill all these standard supports. And the color scheme I had in mind was teal or kind of light blue. I'm not sure what this color is called, cyan or cayenne or whatever, with kind of beige supports. And again, I had that theme or that color scheme in mind because I want to make a tropical theme around this roller coaster. So I thought about some palm trees and some nice lakes or whatever, maybe some exotic or whatever, like tropical theming, if you will. So that's why I had this theme in mind, and I thought it worked out quite well, and you'll see that later in the video. So here I just made one of the standard inverted supports. It looks a little bit bulky, but I had to do it like this because if I would make them shorter or closer to the track, the train would actually hit the supports, and of course you can't have that. That's not realistic. So I was able to copy paste this a bunch, and as you can see, once again I'm saving a lot of time using the pre-save option. But still, despite that, there's a lot of custom supports I had to make. So for instance, this chain lift, I didn't have an example, if you will, of an inverted chain lift. So I basically had to fabricate this from scratch. So all these individual blocks from Moby Steel Jungle, I had to just, put it together piece by piece. And this is really where a lot of the time went into. So here I'm just kind of checking out how I want it to be. And it's not going to be 100% perfect, but I'm just trying my best to make sure that's a nice little template. And what I also do in this one, which I didn't do in the previous ones, I believe, is I'm using the flanges, which is kind of the connectors, if you will, for all the metal pieces that you see on the roller coasters in real life. Didn't use that before, but I decided to use it now because it just makes it look so much better. And that's a really nice kind of like attention to detail, if you will. So I definitely decided, you know what, it's going to take me some extra time, but it's well worth the investment because it looks so much better. And again, yeah, it's going to take me more time, but I'm in no rush to finish this roller coaster because, you know, I can't finish a roller coaster in one sitting anyway, because life these days is very busy. I have a lot of responsibilities. So it's literally just me, you know, making, sitting down for like half an hour here and 20 minutes there. So that's also why you see some cuts or some edits in the video. It's just me saving the file, and then, you know, next day or 2 days later, I pick it up again and just try to do a bit more, and slowly but surely finish the roller coaster. So here I'm just finishing up the chain lift, and from here I will slowly but surely go over all of the supports that I already planted and make sure there's like a second support beam, because I think that looks kind of nice and realistic. And again, I'll use the flanges wherever possible that looks realistic. So yeah, this part right here, all the stuff I'm doing is basically where a lot of the time goes into. It's just custom fabricating these supports, tweaking them, and of course adding a lot more detail. So these flanges and everything, it really took a lot more time than, let's say, the Aero Mega Looper or the Intimate Accelerator that I made. So yeah, there's a lot of time went into this, but I'm really a big fan of the way this roller coaster turns out. So it's all worth it in the end. So here I'm just adding a bit more detail to the supports, and now I'm going to work on the overbank turn. Again, I don't have saved or pre-made overbank supports for an inverted roller coaster, so again I had to kind of fabricate my own. So again, it's just all piece by piece, and I know it's a little bit difficult to spot, but you can see that the final piece, if you will, the thing that connects the roller coaster, is the same color as the track, because that's again how it is in real life as well. You have, let's say, a blue track with yellow supports. The connecting piece, the connecting metal support piece, is actually blue, so it's not yellow all the way, which I used to do that before. You know, if I would make white supports, I would make everything white, because it's a small detail, if you will. But with this one, for some reason, I really wanted to go just all out and see how realistic I could make them. So yeah, it took me a lot of time to make this, but you know, again, I like to challenge myself, and I'm in no rush. And with the way this thing was coming together, I really was like, yeah, I really would like not to kind of half-ass it, and, you know, just take my time and just do it right, you know. And this is probably, I think, I'm not sure if this is my proudest creation, because over the last, what is it, like 15 years or something, I've made a lot of creations in RCT, many of which took a lot of time to make. And of course, back then it was much easier because I was in high school when I started playing RCT3, and I had, you know, no responsibilities. I didn't have a wife, I didn't have a kid, I you know, didn't have a full-time job, I, you know, other responsibilities, taking care of my you know, people in my family or whatever. It wasn't all there, so I could just you know, build my little heart out without really having to look at the time. Nowadays it's quite different, but still, you know, I really wanted this to look right and realistic, and I wanted to also kind of push myself in terms of support design to see what I can do if I would just go all out, if you will. And yeah, you can see it coming together, and I think it looks really, really nice. So here we are in the helix, and we are kind of getting closer and closer to finishing up the supports. And again, that's really the gist of this video. That took by far the most time, but it's very rewarding. I mean, you know, working with Moby Steel Jungle, it's very time consuming, and it can be a bit mundane at some moments, if you will. But then again, you know, if you know how to work with the add-on, and if you spend some time mastering it, and, you know, taking the time to build supports, it's just super rewarding, because they can turn out to be amazing. So here with the corkscrew, once again, I am kind of having to improvise and make my own design here, because I can't have the pillars in the middle, because that of course will be right in the middle of the path, and that doesn't make sense. So I'm using these diagonal beams to make sure that the corkscrew is supported. And actually a fun fact is that nowadays I actually look a lot at realistic roller coasters when I'm making supports to make sure, okay, what is actually realistic. And I looked at a lot of photos from Raptor, from Cedar Point, which is a very nice B&M inverted roller coaster, to kind of see what realistic supports look like. Here, by the way, is the alteration to the track. So before I had another corkscrew and some turns, but here I actually went underground again, and then into a half loop corkscrew, and then I would go to a bend corkscrew, and then it would go back to the station, but you'll see that later. So here in between the roller coaster, I decided to make a flat ride, just a spiral slide. I will move it a little bit though later on, but again, I wanted some flat rides to accommodate this roller coaster as well, to make it feel more realistic, like it's actually in a park setting, if you will. Now, the further I get into this roller coaster, the more I'm actually able to just copy paste a couple of designs, which is definitely nice. That's definitely saved me some time. And again, this is a bit of an investment, because if I ever want to make an inverted roller coaster again, then I already have a fair share of custom supports ready to go. So if I design the chain lift, I already have those those support pieces ready. If I want to make some corkscrews, I already have those supports ready. So here I'm just trying to add some foliage there, so it looks the difference between the land and those grass blocks looks a bit less obvious, if you will. So yeah, that just trying to make it a bit more realistic. And here I'm just saving this one, and sometimes it works, this pre-saved option, sometimes it doesn't. It's a bit janky, but yeah, you just gotta kind of work with what you got. And I'm just super happy that pre-save option is in RCT, because it just saves a ton of time, especially when you've made a whole bunch of supports before and you can just copy paste it like I did with other roller coasters. So here we're just gonna finish up the supports, and we're pretty much almost there. Again, I'm just gonna use some pre-saved designs and just copy it over and over again. So here we have some supports for the corkscrew and some straight pieces that I can use, and it's just copy paste. It's really nice. It saves a good amount of time, and getting closer and closer to finishing up the supports. And as you can see, the video is already 12 minutes long, and we're still not done with the support. So, but again, it's a nice challenge for me. It's something new, and I always wanted to make a proper inverted roller coaster, like really realistic, because the last time I made one was like more than 10 years ago, and I used JCat Steelworks, which is a nice but very basic and kind of limited custom support add-on. So this was a really nice challenge for me to do. So this is mostly done, the supports are mostly done, so now I'm going to focus on actually adding some fog or smoke in the drops, if you will, to make it a bit more awesome if you go through the ride. So here we're going to place the footers, because of course the supports can't just randomly go into the grass. They need to have these footers, so I'm going to place them all over the supports. And I just love the way this looks, these round footers with the supports and the flanges. It's just, I think it looks amazing. I don't know about you guys, but I love the way it looks. And this is exactly why I use Moby Steel Jungle, because it's very, as you can see, it's very time consuming, but it's super rewarding. So here we're going to use Beastie's Path mods to make the paths look a little bit nicer. I'm able to make diagonal paths with this add-on, and yeah, the paths just look so much better. The only problem with this add-on is that it kind of hides the shade of rides and guests. It's a bit of a shame, but you can't have everything and it still looks miles better. So there you go, that's the path done. So let's focus on the station. Now normally I would use a pretty basic station layout, but because I wanted to go with a tropical theme, I also wanted to have a tropical themed station. So I'm using the I'm not sure exactly what this set is, but it's a tropical setting, and I'm just making a simple kind of station, nothing too fancy, but it doesn't need to be super fancy. I can just make it with a few blocks here and there, and yeah, I think it turns out quite nicely. Actually, it's kind of the same design I use when I make a Western style coaster, just a simple house with some roof and a few windows, and nothing too crazy. I'm also using a different style of path for the queue to kind of accommodate the tropical theme, and here I'm also going to cover it with some tents to I guess protect guests from the shade on a hot day when they're sitting in the queue. So here we have some this is always what I do. In front of the roller coaster, I always make a bit of a general gathering area with a fountain and everything and some foliage. So there you go, that's all done. So now we're gonna go on into these benches. Now I thought about using the tropical benches, but I don't like the way they look, so I'm just gonna stick to the standard ones. And I'm also gonna add some garbage bins. Again, very basic, because I want the park to be kind of operational. So not just a path, I also want mechanics and handyman, blah, blah, blah. So here I'm changing a bit the looks of the slide, and that kind of fits snugly in between the roller coaster. So I'm gonna finish off the catwalk here for both the first turns and the brake section at the end. So that is all kind of done. Gonna change the supports a little bit to make sure that the train doesn't hit any of the custom supports. And yeah, we're already up to 15 minutes, and we still have a decent amount of work to do. Just checking out how things look here with the free look option, and I'm happy with it. So here now we're gonna add some fences, because of course if we want to make this realistic, we need to have some fences around the path, so that the guests can't theoretically just walk up to the supports of the roller coaster. Of course that would be lethal, so we don't want that. We want fences, and the game doesn't have any diagonal fences, so I'm actually using my own custom made fences that I used with JCat Steelworks. Nothing fancy, just a few straight bars and vertical bars that I built into fences, and it just looks miles better, and it really looks nice alongside the diagonal paths. Now, I did want to make a few rides next to the roller coaster, the inverted coaster, and I thought about making a wooden roller coaster, just a simple one, nothing too fancy, to kind of sit next to the inverted coaster. Again, this is not the main focus, but I wanted something extra to, again, make it feel like a park, basically. So again, I didn't have to do this, but I just got inspiration to make a wooden coaster, and I barely do anything in terms of like custom scenery to a wooden coaster. So it's like, yeah, you know what? It looks nice. It's a nice addition, and it doesn't take me much time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add that to the park. So it's very basic, but it does the job quite well. So for the wooden roller coaster, I actually had an idea with some terrain, because it sits a bit higher than the normal station I would use, and I'm actually going to use the terrain function for this, because people think that you can only use terrain to raise and lower it, just all over the place, if you will, but you can actually raise and lower the terrain like you did in RCT2, which is really handy. By the way, here I completely forgot to build the exit for this ride, so there were a whole bunch of guests stuck. Oops, sorry about that. But yeah, I'm just gonna make sure there's a path here and make the exit there, move the support. And there you go, that's all nice. And the guests are happy, that's good to see. I'm just gonna move these fences a little bit here and just make some alterations, and make sure that is now nice, and make sure that's all sorted out. So there we go, that's all done. So let's go back to the wooden roller coaster, I believe. Oh yeah, but first, I forgot about that. We're gonna have to make some, put down some handymen to make sure that the paths stay clean. Also I forgot a fence there, so I'm gonna just finish that. So about the station here, you can see me using the tool where you can actually use raise the terrain by blocks, the same way that you would in RCT 1 and 2, which works very intuitively. It's very easy. Like I said, it works the same way. And I'm able to raise the terrain a little bit so the station isn't too awkwardly high up. And from here on out, I'm just going to use these kind of like bamboo pillars, the same way some tropical structures have. And I'm going to make the station on top, the house on top. It's just going to be the same design as the inverted coaster, so nothing crazy, nothing super fancy. But again, this is not the main focus of the build. So it just has to look kind of nice. It doesn't have to be super detailed, but there you go. And again, just like the rest of the park, I'm going to use the paths to make it look more realistic, and then of course some fences, which you'll see in just a bit, to make sure that the ride is fenced off, so guests can't walk up to the roller coaster. Of course, like I said, that wouldn't be realistic. So we're just going to keep on doing that, and yeah, we're getting closer and closer to finishing off the roller coaster. I'm moving these two supports because the supports were actually on the path, so I'm kind of having to relocate these, if you will. Not a lot of work, just trying to figure out where exactly they can stay without hitting the train or going on the path or something like that. So you can see that there's a lot more custom fabrication going on compared to my other roller coasters I designed, you know, the Aero Mega Looper and that Intimate Accelerator. But again, it's just about me challenging myself to see how well and how realistic I can make an inverted roller coaster. So we're gonna finish up this support, and again I have to make it a little bit wider than I usually want to because I don't want the train to hit the supports. It's very important. So we're just gonna finish this one off. Add some flanges, of course, and of course the footers in just a bit. There we go, and that is now done. So from here now we're gonna focus on the foliage. And you know, like I said, I wanted a tropical theme, so of course we're gonna go with some palm trees. Now, I've said this before, but RCT3 does not handle very busy parks very well. So what I'm gonna do is just make a lake here and a few islands to make it look a little bit tropical, if you will. I'm not sure if that makes any sense. So yeah, it's kind of minimize the objects in the game to make sure that it doesn't lag and the frame rate doesn't tank when you're riding the roller coaster, because of course that's a bit of a shame. So I'm just gonna, you know, make a nice little lake here with some islands, and then from there on out I will put the palm trees in the correct location, if you will, but adding a little bit of sand there so it looks kind of like a beach, if you will. And yeah, that's kind of the general layout of the terrain. And from here now I'm gonna place the palm trees. I'm gonna choose 2 types, and I think this looks really, really nicely. I love the, I don't know why I don't use this more. I guess I'm just too much of a chicken, if you will, to dedicate to a very different theming. But I absolutely love how these palm trees look in relation to the color scheme of the inverted roller coaster, and also the buildings or the houses I've made with that, you know, kind of like that wooden bamboo theming, if you will. So I'm just gonna decorate these islands as well as the edges of the map to make sure that there's also some trees outside of the park. And yeah, it's starting to look great. Now I have one final thing I want to do. I left a small area next to the inverted roller coaster. I'm going to make one final flat ride there to kind of fill up that part a little bit more. I was looking around what I could use, but I ended up with an Alarion, which is kind of a go-to flat ride for me because it's kind of big but not too big, and it's nice. Guests like it, so I was like, yeah, let me just make that. So I'm just going to change the fences here a little bit. So again, it's fenced off. And I'm going to use BT's path mod to, you know, make the paths a bit more realistic and everything. Just make sure everything's kind of accommodated for in this Alarion, this last flat ride. I'm going to make it white with blue to kind of, you know, complement, if you will, the looks of the inverted roller coaster. And I'm going to fill up the rest with palm trees. So yeah, as you can see, this is quite an extensive project. Again, I never thought I would be working or spending this much time building this roller coaster, but yeah, like I said, when I get inspiration to add something to the design, I just do it because it's really fun to make it. It's fun to challenge myself. Oh, you know, if I'm having this cool idea, can it be done? Is it possible? Does it look good? How do I get there? You know, because again, with RCT3, the tools that you have are limited, especially like the track design. So you're gonna have to kind of improvise and be resourceful with what you have, and that's one of the challenges in when it comes to building stuff in Roller Coaster Tycoon that I like. So last but not least, we're gonna add some facilities for the guests, like food, drinks, toilets, and everything, to make sure that they have that. And I think this is pretty much it in terms of the design. I think we're right there. And yeah, there we go. That is this is the final product. I hope you guys like it. I think it looks absolutely amazing. I love the tropical theming. I love how the inverted coaster turned out. I'm loving the layout, the supports and everything. It took a lot of time to make, but yeah, this is one of my, I'm absolutely in love with this roller coaster. I love the way it looks. And I hope you guys enjoy the POV and also some B-roll footage, so some extra shots of the roller coaster. And yeah, that's coming up right now. So without further ado, enjoy the final product. Well, and there you have it, folks, my attempt at building a realistic inverted coaster in RCT3. I didn't think I would spend this much time on it, but yeah, I had a lot of inspiration, a lot of cool ideas, and I really wanted to go all out with the custom support and the the surrounding scenery, if you will. So hope you guys like this. Hope you guys thought this was at least somewhat realistic. I know the track design RCT is limited, but I did the best I could. So yeah, I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys in the next build video. Not sure exactly what I'm gonna build, but we'll see. For now, thanks for watching, and have yourself a wonderful day.